Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, 22nd of June. Yes, here's my Anthony Bourdain. Love this guy, man. When he committed suicide, I was heartbroken. Like, he was my dude, man. He was my dude. So earlier today, I put out a video about CNBC and Cramer just putting out, propagating this nonsense about the debt, and it's gonna be a burden on the kids and the grandkids. There's not gonna be any burden on the kids and the grandkids. I sent him an email, and I said, Jim, I got his email address because we've communicated in the past. I said, Jim, you really have to stop propagating this false information about government debt being a burden on the kids and the grandkids. I said, those transfers equate to an addition to the financial balances of the non-government. I mean, that's part of our financial wealth. And if anything, it is a bounty for the kids and the grandkids. It's passed along from one generation to the next. And I said, by the way, when I used to contribute to this is the funny part, man. I said, by the way, I used to be a contributor to TheStreet.com, and I was the only one on there way back talking about MMT concepts and economics, and they cut me, all right? And this is what he wrote back to me. He said, I think you added a lot of diversity to the site, but let me try to remember this. But I think you got upset that I wanted you to stay there, which is completely ridiculous. Like, why would I get upset that he wanted? Nobody came to me and said, the editor said, Mike, you're done. I mean, this guy's like freaking out of his mind, man. I don't know what's going on, but don't listen to what he says, and don't listen to this. I said, this is damaging for the country. I mean, because people get scared and politicians listen to this nonsense. And I said, Jim, you're an educated guy. Like, that's just not the way it is, man. Anyway. So today we had a pretty nice day, and I don't know if you've been following me, and certainly I've been telling my subscribers over the last 2 days, expect a rebound because we're going to see a resumption in the positive fiscal flows. And yesterday we saw and I said, start buying on the dip, start buying the dip. See, if you're not subscribing to my thing, like you're not getting this information, okay? I mean, it's just pure and simple. I told you about June 15th and the tax train, and then I follow that every single day. I follow those numbers every single day, and the tax train was not that big. It was about 78, maybe in the end it was like 90 billion or something like that. We had a 36 billion addition yesterday, and we saw the market pop back up. Now, I still would like to see a few more days of data before saying, it's all over. But right now, I'd be buying the dips in the market because that's the last fiscal drag before September. And, the daily leading spending flows are still very strong. Okay, right now they're running about 21.7 billion a day, which comes something like 437 billion, but that's low. It's going to go back up over 500 billion, no problem. So yeah, I mean, we had a positive. The fiscal deficit for June, the government deficit for June is now like back over 50 billion. It got down to 15 billion. So it went from like 92 billion at the beginning of June all the way down to 15 billion. And now it's back up to 50 billion, and it'll start to grow. So you see, that's how this is what I'm saying. Why taxes, they don't bother me. I mean, they bother me, yeah, because when I got to pay them. But I mean, as an economist, in the macro picture, they don't bother me because they just get recycled. Those funds that are drained out of the system in periods of taxation, they get recycled back as spending by government, and we run deficits. So it's a net addition. It's always a net addition to the financial balances of the non-government. That's what I try to explain to Cramer, man. I mean, it's just like, I can't believe the shit that is out there. Like like if you listen to these shows, unless you're listening with a mindset like, where can I fade these guys? Where can I go against these guys? If you're listening like you think you're getting informed, I mean, you're just like, you're on the wrong track, man. I mean, this is not information. This is just like mythology or some kind of cult belief system that they propagate. And again, like, the guy is a Harvard graduate, but okay, so much for him. Anyway, we saw a drop in crude. Today we got the EIA weekly petroleum status report, and actually there was a pretty significant, pretty sizable drop in crude inventories of 3.8 million barrels. Gasoline demand was strong. Distillate demand was strong. Refiner inputs were down a little bit, but they're still strong. Crude exports, very strong, okay? Very strong. And this product exports were down a little bit. But right now we're just under, I would say, 2 million barrels a day of net exports. So, I mean, it's bullish. You just got to be patient. If you're long oil, you just got to be patient. The other thing is gold. Let me talk about gold. Let me talk about the dollar. I think this pullback in gold is an absolute gift. I mean, I'm shocked even that it's come down this far. Producers have been buying, the banks, the swap dealers have been buying. Some private jet flying over. Yeah, so I mean, you just got to be patient. I mean, in the world of macro trading, like, I'm not into this, let's buy something today, let's sell it tomorrow. I look at the macro picture, that's what I do. And for me, and I sincerely believe that is the most important perspective that you can have. And I talk about this all the time. I've spoken about this, how I've had conversations with these kind of bottom-up analysts who, they crunch the numbers on financial statements and stuff like that. But you need the right macro environment. You need a growth environment for things to do well. Unless you like going short. If you like going short, then you need an environment where we're in an economic contraction, and we're not in an economic contraction, and we're not going to be in an economic contraction. And it's what I said going all the way back to last December, when every single economist on Wall Street was saying we were going to have an economic contraction. And I said, as long as they raise the debt ceiling, we're not going to have an economic contraction. Not when you're doing $500-600 billion a month in spending and leading flows. It'd be nice to get a tax cut. I mean, a tax cut would really boost up economic activity by a lot. But I don't think that's going to happen under Biden. I mean, Biden, I've always known anyway, and I said this before he was elected. I didn't vote for him, but I said this, that he's basically a fiscal conservative. There's videos of Biden that I put out in the past where, he's talking about cutting Social Security and cutting Medicare and saying, we're putting everything on the table. Everything's on the table for cuts. So I never thought that he was going to be some, fiscally liberal kind of a president. he goes along with this stuff. I mean, you know, certain things he's done, maybe you could say all right, but in general, we could use some tax cuts right now, because that's the main fiscal drag happening right now, is taxes. But there's enough spending right now to power through. And like I said, I mean, the 20-30 year average of US GDP growth is something like 2.5 to 2.7%. I mean, you keep that up. I mean, go back 30 years, where was the stock market, and look at it now. I mean, as long as there's growth, then, you know, that's the main thing. That's the main thing. Anyway, folks, a little bit of an overcast day here. You can see, here's my guy again. I'll just give you that, Anthony Bourdain. Fuck you. And he was so like that. The guy was so cool. And so, yeah, that's it. That's it, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.